In 1620, a man climbed inside a wooden barrel and disappeared beneath the River Thames. He stayed underwater for hours while a king watched in disbelief. No one thought it was possible, but this wasn't a stunt. It was the world's first working submarine, built centuries before modern submarines existed. The inventor almost died proving it could work. Today, we'll uncover the incredible true story of how the submarine was invented and the man who changed naval history forever. Picture the open sea in the year 1500. A merchant ship creaks under a grey sky somewhere off the English coast. Salt spray stings the faces of sailors hauling rope on deck. Sailors scan the horizon for enemy sails, because that is the only way anyone can detect a threat. Warfare on water has one dimension: above the surface. Beneath the waves, there is nothing but mystery. No human being has ever traveled underwater and returned to describe it. Fishermen whisper about sea monsters lurking in the deep. Old maps mark unexplored waters with warnings of serpents and beasts. Sailors cross themselves before storms, certain that something unseen controls their fate. For centuries, the ocean floor might as well be another planet. No lantern has ever lit it. No hand has ever touched it. Meanwhile, naval battles are brutal and predictable. Two fleets spot each other for miles. Cannons roar from wooden decks. Men die by the thousands, always in plain sight of their enemy. There is no ambush at sea, because nothing can hide. A ship cannot vanish. A fleet cannot strike from beneath. Generals plan their battles as if the ocean has only one layer. Kings and admirals dream of a hidden weapon, something that could slip beneath an enemy hull unseen and unheard. In port cities like Amsterdam and London, shipbuilders trade rumors of divers who claim to have touched the seabed and lived. Most of these stories are lies, told over ale to impress a crowd. But the myths reveal a deeper hunger. Humanity wants the ocean's depths, and it has no way to reach them. Leonardo da Vinci sketches strange underwater machines in his notebooks around 1515. He imagines divers with breathing tubes and hulls that sink at will. His notebooks describe a way for men to walk along a riverbed unseen. Then he burns the plans. He fears the idea is too dangerous for the world to hold. He writes that mankind is too wicked to be trusted with such a weapon. For nearly 100 years after that, the dream stays buried. Engineers doubt a wooden vessel can sink on command and rise again without crushing everyone inside. Water pressure is barely understood. Air supply is a total unknown. Every attempt feels like a suicide mission waiting to happen, with swells and warps under pressure that no one can measure. Sailors who hear of these experiments cross themselves twice as fast. And still, one question refuses to fade in the minds of a few obsessive thinkers across Europe. What if a ship could disappear beneath the water itself? The man who finally answers that question is not a sailor. His name is Cornelius Drebbel, a Dutch inventor born in Alkmaar in 1572. He grows up fascinated by fire, glass, and the strange behavior of gases. As a young man, he studies engraving before turning his attention to invention entirely. By his 30s, he has already built clocks that seem to run forever and lenses that bend light in impossible ways. Word of his brilliance spreads across the courts of Europe. He arrives with a reputation for turning strange ideas into working machines. The king loves spectacle, and Drebbel is a man who delivers wonders. He dazzles the court with perpetual motion devices and mechanical toys that seem alive. But privately, Drebbel is chasing something far more dangerous than court tricks. He wants to build a vessel that can travel beneath the surface of the water. He believes the same principles that control air and pressure in his other machines can control a hull underwater. Most people around him think the idea is madness. A ship that sinks on purpose sounds like a design for drowning, not for sailing. Even his own patrons at court whisper that he has finally gone too far. Drebbel ignores the doubt. Late at night, he pores over sketches by candlelight in a cramped London workshop. He begins sketching a design built from wood, greased leather, and tightly sealed joints. His first tests happen quietly on the River Thames, far from prying eyes and away from crowds. He straps oars through leather-sealed holes in the hull so rowers can propel the vessel from inside. The first attempt barely submerges before water leaks through the seals. Cold river water pours in through the gaps. Men scramble to force the hatch open before they drown. The second attempt floods within minutes. Each failure could have ended in death for the men trapped inside. Drebbel does not stop. Night after night, he sits alone with his failed hull, turning the problem over in his mind. He reworks the leather seals again and again, testing new grease and tighter joints. He studies how pig bladders inflate and deflate, and applies the same idea to control the vessel's buoyancy. Each small adjustment brings him a little closer to a hull that holds. Slowly, the leaks stop coming. By 1620, Drebbel is ready for the test that will make history. He builds a wooden vessel roughly 15 feet long, covered in greased leather to keep it watertight. 12 oarsmen climb inside alongside Drebbel himself. Each man ducks low beneath the curved wooden ceiling. The hatch seals shut. Inside, the air grows thick and warm almost immediately. For nearly 3 hours, it travels underwater from Westminster to Greenwich, completely hidden from the world above. Thousands of Londoners reportedly line the riverbanks, staring at a river with no ship on it. Children point at the empty water, unable to understand what they are witnessing. Merchants pause their trading to crane their necks toward the Thames. King James I is said to have taken a ride himself, becoming the first monarch in history to travel underwater. Guards on the riverbank watch nervously, uncertain if their king will ever resurface. Here is the detail almost no one knows. Drebbel never fully explains how his men breathed for 3 hours inside a sealed wooden hull. Some historians believe he used a chemical reaction, possibly heating saltpeter, to refresh the air supply long before anyone understood oxygen. If true, Drebbel may have stumbled onto a form of chemistry that would not be formally discovered for another 150 years. He essentially invents a crude form of oxygen generation, decades before scientists even name the gas itself. It is a breakthrough hidden inside another breakthrough, and much of it dies with him. Drebbel never patents his design and never writes a complete technical account. The submarine is born in secrecy, on a cold river, in front of a king who treats it like a party trick instead of a weapon. For over a century after Drebbel's voyage, the idea drifts without direction. Inventors experiment quietly, but no government invests seriously in underwater warfare. Sketches gather dust in private libraries across Europe. Then, in 1775, an American inventor named David Bushnell changes everything. He builds a one-man wooden submersible called the Turtle, shaped like an upright egg. Bushnell works in secrecy on the banks of the Connecticut River. Bushnell designs it for a single deadly purpose: attaching explosive charges to British warships during the American Revolution. In 1776, an operator named Ezra Lee pilots the Turtle toward a British warship in New York Harbor. He cranks a hand propeller in complete darkness beneath the enemy fleet. He nearly succeeds in attaching an explosive charge to the hull. The drill meant to bore into the copper-plated hull slips again and again. The mission fails at the final moment, but the message is clear. A single hidden vessel can now threaten the mightiest navy on Earth. News of the attempt spreads quickly through both armies. Decades pass, and the idea keeps evolving through trial and disaster. In 1800, Robert Fulton unveils the Nautilus in France, a submarine built from copper and iron rather than wood. He tests it in the harbor at Brest, diving to depths no vessel had reached before. Fulton pitches it first to Napoleon, hoping to sell the idea as a weapon against British ships. Napoleon rejects the plan, calling it dishonorable warfare fought from hiding. He reportedly refuses to even meet with Fulton a second time. Fulton then turns to the British themselves, offering the same design. They fear it too much to build it, worried it could one day be used against their own fleet. The submarine becomes a weapon everyone wants destroyed and no one wants to admit exists. Fulton eventually abandons the project entirely, frustrated by rejection on both sides of the war. The next great leap arrives during the American Civil War. Confederate engineers work in secrecy in a small foundry in Mobile, Alabama. They build a narrow iron vessel barely wide enough for its own crew. In 1864, the Confederate submarine H.L. Hunley attacks the Union ship USS Housatonic near Charleston Harbor. A spar loaded with explosives rams into the Union hull in the darkness. It becomes the first submarine in history to sink an enemy warship in combat. Moments later, the Hunley itself vanishes beneath the waves, taking its crew down with it. Its wreck is not found again for over 130 years. Divers finally locate it resting in the sand off Charleston in 1995. The submarine has proven it can kill, but it still cannot guarantee survival for its own crew. That single flaw haunts engineers for decades afterward. By the late 1800s, the technology finally starts to mature. In 1890, Irish-American inventor John Philip Holland designs a submarine powered by gasoline engines on the surface and electric batteries underwater. He tests his early models in quiet coastal waters near New Jersey. His design solves the deadly problem of how to power a vessel in two different worlds. In 1900, the United States Navy purchases Holland's design, officially commissioning its first submarine. Within a decade, Britain, France, and Germany all build their own fleets, racing to control the ocean's hidden depths. Shipyards across Europe work around the clock to keep pace with rival nations. The submarine has finally moved from a curiosity on the Thames to a weapon reshaping global power. By World War I, the submarine has completely rewritten the rules of naval combat. Sailors on surface ships now scan the water in fear instead of the sky. A single periscope breaking the surface can spell disaster for an entire convoy. German U-boats sink over 5,000 Allied ships during the war, strangling supply lines from beneath the waves. Entire nations begin to ration food because their supply ships never arrive. Britain comes within weeks of running out of critical supplies in 1917. The sinking of the passenger ship Lusitania in 1915 kills nearly 1,200 people and pulls the United States closer to entering the war. A single hidden vessel has now proven it can shift the outcome of a global conflict. World War II pushes the technology even further. Convoys cross the Atlantic in constant fear of an attack they cannot see coming. Submarines sink millions of tons of shipping across the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, turning entire theaters of war into contests of who can hide better. Entire naval strategies shift around a single question: where is the enemy hiding? Then, in 1954, the United States Navy launches the USS Nautilus, the world's first nuclear-powered submarine. Crowds gather at the shipyard in Groton, Connecticut, to witness the launch. For the first time, a vessel can stay submerged for months instead of hours. It no longer needs air, fuel, or sunlight to keep moving. In 1958, the Nautilus becomes the first vessel to cross the North Pole entirely underwater. Today, nuclear submarines can circle the globe without ever surfacing, carrying enough power to run for over 20 years on a single fuel core. A modern submarine crew can stay submerged longer than most people stay in one job. Some carry enough firepower to end entire nations, sitting silently beneath the ocean at this very moment. Right now, several of these vessels are patrolling waters near your own coastline, completely undetected. Most governments will never confirm exactly where they are. Every time you check a map of ocean cables carrying the internet, you are looking at routes that modern submarines are built to protect and threaten. A single cut cable, deep beneath the waves, could disrupt phone calls and bank transfers on the other side of the planet. That kind of quiet power began with one desperate man and a barrel on the Thames. The device that began as a leather-sealed barrel on the Thames now anchors the balance of power between nuclear nations. A single moment of madness from a Dutch inventor became one of the most feared machines on the planet. Here's the strangest part of this story. Cornelius Drebbel never built his submarine as a weapon. He built it out of pure curiosity. Every nuclear submarine patrolling the ocean today traces its bloodline back to that curiosity. So here's a question worth sitting with. Would Drebbel be proud of what his invention became, or horrified by it? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more untold origins, forgotten history, and remarkable true stories from the past. Because the next hidden invention might be closer than you think, waiting quietly for someone curious enough to find it.